Hello, everybody. So, thankfully, I got off work a bit early. Usually, I would have only finishing at this time, 3 o'clock. So, thankfully, got off early. The overseer let us off a bit early today because of Black Friday and voting too, and because it's generally very miserable. My coat downstairs is dripping like fuck. Excuse my language, but literally, I was drenched. You can probably see my hair. My hair is a bit messed up. It's not that wet, thankfully, because I had a hat on me, so it's not that wet, but it's a bit wet because it's soaked through my hat. It's not as bad as it probably should be, my hair, only for the hat. My hair would be a mess. But thankfully, the overseer let us off a bit early. So usually be only coming home on a Friday at this time. But thankfully, we were let off there. I'm home about 20 minutes ago. So thankfully, we were let off a bit early. So it's good that we were let off because of Black Friday. And then obviously, it's not that great of weather. You couldn't really do much. And, and 20 minutes here and there won't make much of a difference. So literally, I'm only really in the door 20 minutes. So we basically got off at 2:30, basically, what I'm trying to say. Which is good, half an hour extra. Hello, Brian. How are you doing? It's D-Day. But yeah, so that's good. That's all the better that we got in a few hours. Because again, it's just miserable outside. Being out majority of the day, it's just miserable. It was all right this morning when I was voting, but after 10 o'clock, it just started pissing. And it hasn't stopped pissing. So it's just awful weather, really, when you're out doing stuff on the roads, etc., etc. It's just terrible. Like, especially the rain. It's not heavy rain. It's just drizzly shit of weather. And it's just awful. Like, my jacket's literally soaked. My trousers that I had on me are soaked. Everything's soaked. It's going to take nearly a week for them then to dry out because they're that badly soaked. Like, it just hasn't stopped raining. And it's still raining. So, it's not going to be much of a day. But this morning, there wasn't a bit of rain. That's the worst thing about it. So, yeah, a lot of stuff. So, obviously, the election's the main thing we'll be talking about. We get into it in a few minutes. So obviously we don't know much about what's happened. We can tell you about the turnout, etc. So we don't know obviously the votes that haven't been counted. But just basically talking about. So it is 3 o'clock now in the day. So it's been open a good few hours at the polling stations. There is some things we could talk about, I suppose. It's not as high, I don't think, as I thought it would be. We get into that in a second. But I thought it would be higher. By this stage, but after people get off work, usually on a Friday, people get off a half day, 4 o'clock, etc., etc. Or 5 o'clock. The majority of people do get off on a half day, like myself. We do get off on a half day at 3 o'clock usually. Usually, I'd be only coming out of work now. Exactly now, usually be only coming out of work, and I'd be home by 3:30 on a Friday. But obviously, we got off a bit early because it's Black Friday, and the weather was not that great too. So. And I think the voting too. I think people just like with Black Friday, etc., etc. Now the town is busy. I was in the town today. Earlier on, we were in the town. And it's busy. There's people washing around. They don't know how they're going because of Black Friday. Even though they're probably getting things, probably €10 off things or stuff like that. It's like people going mad basically, looking for deals. So yeah. But so it's been very mixed. We get into town, so there's a lot to discuss, I suppose. But we don't know all the details, obviously, yet, because again, there's still a few more hours left to polling. We probably will know tonight. I probably be live tonight later on. There's going to be a poll released, a kind of estimate from RT, I think, or from the TV. What they got, TG Cahill. There's going to be a poll released with an estimate on what's going to happen. So we probably talk about that when that comes out. So basically, at the moment, I've been keeping up to date with this, trying my best, anyway, today when I was at work. So basically, I've been multitasking today a lot. Walked down a few pints, etc., etc. So it was obviously I went to vote now this morning. I was one of the first people in the county to vote. Just literally, I was probably taking just a minute before 7 o'clock. I was allowed to go in. It must have been it was 6:59 or something like that when I walked in the door at the polling station. And at the time, they were just still setting everything up, still the same. So I was there before anybody else. I was the only one there. I was there 3 minutes before time. I was let in at 59. I wasn't given the ballot now until 7 o'clock exactly, but I was let in just to get out of the court. So I was the first one at my polling station, and so that's great to know. And especially in Cavan, there was nobody really. That wasn't a thing really in Cavan. The people were waiting outside to get in, etc., etc. And it kind of shows. I have the figures here at the moment, not from all the towns in Cavan and Monaghan, but for Cavan and Monaghan. So this is up until 10 a.m. this morning, take example. So this is probably includes from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Excuse me. So I'm splitting over myself. So in Beltoba, there was very bad. In Beltoba there, just out the road from here, pretty bad. Like from 7, they say only a few people turned up, and I don't know what they mean by few. Must have been only about maybe 20, 30 people. Like that's all they say from that point. They turned up in Beltoba, so I don't know where everybody is in Beltoba, but nobody turned up from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock in Beltoba. In Cavan Town, there was a 2.84% turnout in Cavan Town from that point. In Castleblaine, it was 2.84 too. But Clonus like Clonus, they all kind of got up early in Clonus for some reason today, and 4.3% of the people went out and voted in Clonus between 7 and 10. So everybody in Clonus must have just got up early to vote. They must have been like myself, because that's been the highest in Cavan in the morning times. It was very bad across the whole country from that point. Like nobody really went out and voted early, based on what I said. But in the evening time, people it's starting to tick up in Cavan. We get through the figures now in a second. What I have in front of me. But in Offaly, just to say before I go any further, in Offaly was insane. Like it was 15% of people turned out during that period. So in Offaly, everybody turned up that morning for some reason this morning to vote. 15% of the people that went to the vote turned up in Tullamore. So I don't know what was happening in Tullamore, but everybody turned up in Tullamore to vote in the morning time. But yeah. So it is so the main really thing to take out of it, I suppose, at the moment is it's not a good turnout. Not yet. This evening will probably tell us a different story. But at the moment, it's not that great of a turnout across the country. But again, the weather was an aspect in that, I think, too. Because it is fucking miserable. Like, excuse my language, but I've been out in it from, since I went to 8 o'clock. It wasn't raining at 8 o'clock, only started about 10 o'clock around that time. And it's miserable. It's just miserable. So I wouldn't blame people for not wanting to really go out in the rain unless they have to. Because it's not the best day, especially in the Friday too. Black Friday too. People are not, even though to me Black Friday means nothing. I'm not going anywhere. I didn't go into any of the shops, so I had to go to work. I'm not bothered to go this evening into Black Friday. There's people running around the town there and they don't know what they're running around like mad over 5% discount on this. Like they're going mad. And these are the same people who probably didn't vote yet, and they're just wondering about have the sales, etc. But I think the government chose that day specifically because they knew people were too busy with Black Friday, maybe. So, but pretty bad. It is pretty bad overall. By 9:30 in Cavan and Monaghan, it was only 5% turnout by 9:30 this morning. So, pretty. I suppose it's all right. I suppose for that time too, but still, it's not that great at the same time. We're getting the figures from 11 o'clock onwards, etc. Yeah, well, early. I got off early from work. It is a miserable day. And we were let off because of Black Friday, and we were let off because of the election. We were let off. Well, what I mean by that, we were let 20 minutes. We were basically let. I usually be only coming home at this time, basically, at 3 o'clock on a Friday. But we were let go 20 minutes early, so which is good of the overseer to let us go for Black Friday, etc., to vote to if we wanted to. As he said, 20 minutes is either here or there. So I suppose not. I suppose he's right in that 20 minutes is not here or there. So thankfully, one of the lads left me home. So that's why I'm here. You should be waiting for the bus at this time to go home. But thankfully, one of the workers that works for me left me home, and thanks to him. Only for that, I wouldn't be here at the moment. He'd be waiting for me for another hour. Well, not another hour, but to 3:30 anyway. So I'm here at the moment. But I have been trying to keep up to date. Now, there's probably some things I've missed out on because I tried my best because it's hard to walk and look at figures and what's coming out. It's hard to keep in touch with everything. But what I'm trying to say is it's not that great. I thought it'd be a bit more turnout, even now in Cavan. It's picking up a bit. It has picked up a bit. But it's not great. I will get into the figures. But just what to briefly touch on something that I seen that I wrote down. I think this was just an hour ago was announced. I saw it because it was on Radio Television. That Holly Combs, the leader of the Social Democrats, had a baby girl. So congratulations to Holly Combs. We wish her all the best, and of course the baby girl and her family and her father, of course, and especially the worst day to have it on election day. Like the worst time to have it, the worst day to have it for a TD, etc., to have a baby is the day of the election. So I just want to acknowledge that, and I wish Holly Combs all the best, and her father, the father of the child, and of course the child themselves and the family. Of course, we send them our best wishes and congratulations. It's a good, I suppose, it's good news in the way that. Um, but it's just the word, particularly if you're a TD, it's the most awful timing, especially leader of a political party too. It's the most awful timing to have a child on the election day, literally this morning she had it. So, hello, Lenny. Sorry, I was too busy yapping there. I see Linda selling, people just go mad. People. I was in the town earlier on. People go mad. 5% discount here. Everybody's up and down, like go mad buying stuff. Everybody's just running around and senseless. So I think that's another thing too, that people are just too busy looking for deals and not bothered to go out and vote really. If Black Friday, if it was like say tomorrow, I think maybe more people would go out. But again, I suppose not many people would bother going out at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like literally, I was there 3 minutes before 7 o'clock. Like even some of the people that were there at the polling stations were still coming in when I was there. Like there was two of them in the other polling booth that was supposed to be like manning the polling booth were just coming in at that time, So I was there before them really. Obviously there was nobody else. Like the person after me, I was told by the person because I know the person. They rang me up and said that the next person after me didn't come until 7:15. So basically, at 15 minutes after I've turned up, that was the next person in this area that came. So it's pretty bad, in that terms, because it took 15 minutes after I left for somebody else to turn up. Yeah, but that's a whole different story, I suppose. But she has called it out more than I suppose the government parties, because Fianna Fáil Fine Gael, they were supposed to pass the Occupy Territories Bill. Everybody's wanted that to be passed. And we all know why they didn't pass it, because the American ambassador intervened and said, if you do this, the American Congress and stuff like that won't be very happy. And that's the only reason why the Occupy Territories Bill wasn't passed in this stage, because the American government interfered. And that's really the only reason why. And kind of threatened the Irish government, if you do this, we'll make you pay. It's the same as the saying at the moment that what the punished International Court of Justice in The Hague for issuing the West warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu, etc., etc. Even though it is a court, it is an international justice court, but that's a whole different story, for another day, I suppose. But so by 11 o'clock, so this is just in Cavan, not around the whole country, but by 11 o'clock, it didn't get much better, in Clonus, it was the highest, I suppose, at the moment at 11 o'clock, just gone by. There was 11% of the people of the registered the vote in Clonus came out. In Cavantown, it was only about 10%, 8% in Ballyjim stuff. Mullahoran is only a small village. And Mullahoran, majority of people in Mullahoran must have went out in force. They must be very thick about something, because they came out in 12%, like 12% turnout. The same with Carrick McCross in County Monaghan, and Beltobin 9.5. It's pretty bad in Beltobin. I don't know what's wrong about Beltobin. Nobody seems to want to vote in Beltobin today at all. So I don't know what's happening in Beltobin. Nobody seems to want to go and vote. Castleblaney is 7.9. Mullahoran, as I say, I already mentioned that. But long story short, it's not big numbers. It isn't great numbers, even by 11 o'clock. It isn't the greatest numbers. Now, obviously, we don't have the latest ones. I have up until 1 o'clock at the moment. Obviously, I'm a bit behind probably on time, etc., etc. Give me a second, sorry. So just to say, there's 3.7 million people registered to vote in this country at the moment. So I don't know, is there going to be 3.7 million people, to be told answer? Because at this stage, the way it's looking, and we're already at 3 o'clock, it doesn't look like there's going to be 3.7 million votes. It might be a million, or it might be 1.2 million or something like that, but I don't think so. Unless people really come out in the next few hours, I don't think people have it's going to be that number. So I don't know. Is it because of the weather, or is it because Black Friday? I don't know. Because I get into the 1 o'clock figures, the latest figures. So I don't know. They'll probably release the latest figures soon, like the turnout. I seen that earlier on. Yeah, it's a long time. I wasn't alive at the time, but I remember reading up on the case. It's 30 years ago, so it was. But by 1 o'clock in Monaghan, there was 20% turnout. In Virginia, it was 14%. In Clonus, it was 16%. Like Clonus is really, the people in Clonus are really upset about something, because they're all turning out in force. Bay both 16, Ballyjim stuff 15, Calcman Cost 30. Like down here where I am in Butters Bridge, there's 1,000 people or something like that registered to vote in this like in that polling booth, in the two polling booths. And it's I say it's about 6% people toned out so far within the day because I've been checking. It's about 6% or so. Now, obviously, it's not the biggest polling station, etc., in the county. But only about 6% have turned up, maybe 7, give or take. In the last time I checked was around that. So not a great thing too, but a lot of people here too be at work. And it is particularly because a lot of them are elderly here. A lot of the population here are elderly people. Uh, they probably will go later on, you know. That's what I think they would do. Particularly because again, you have to remember there's one thing down here particularly. There's mass this evening down here, and the Christmas lights have been turned on. I think tonight, like they're putting them on tonight. I think. So I think the elderly people will go after mass at 7 o'clock. If that makes sense, because the polling stations are open to 10. So I presume you see a huge increase in the votes here in this area, Cavan, Bridge, because the elderly people go after mass. I presume that's what they will do. Because there's a lot of elderly people around here. So I presume that's what's going to happen here. So there'll be huge uptick in votes here. Because I say they will go after mass. That's what's going to happen, I say here. So they'll be busy at 7, after 7 or so. But that's the latest figures I have here from Cavan and Monaghan at the moment. I don't have much. So yeah, just add one more thing. Hello, Fiona. There's 680 candidates across the whole country, which is a whole lot of candidates when you really, really think about it. It's nearly 700. Both independents, Fianna Fáil, all the candidates put together, it's nearly 700 candidates, which is an insane amount of people. Like when you really think about it, this is an insane amount. I think it's literally one of the highest ever, which is good. You know, it's good that there's a ferry because beforehand there used to be only Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, so there's a good ferry in the candidates, if that makes any sense. Now, there's a few more things. Now, if I missed anything, I know I'm a bit behind. They probably will release the figures in a few minutes for the updated figures and the turnouts. We don't know who's voting for who, obviously, because they haven't counted one vote yet. But basically, we don't know much at the moment. I'm only talking about the turnout. But I do encourage people, if anybody's here who hasn't voted, please do vote. And if you're not, some people are not bothered to vote or don't really want to vote. I would still encourage you to use your voice, regardless of who you vote for. Just to use your voice and to use it, because it's important to participate in. And that's the point that I made this morning by going down very early. It's important, particularly for young people, to stand up and to be counted, because it was well talked about. They went very like literally before some of the staff that were there supposed to be there were there. So yeah, we later on tonight. It'll be 10 o'clock when the poll is closed. We're going to get a poll from TG Cahill, excuse me. But I'm only saying about the turnout at the moment. Yeah, so I'm just saying that I suppose the main thing about what I'm talking about at the moment is pretty poor. I thought it'd be a lot better. That's what I'm trying to say. Because that's all we really know at the moment. We don't know who's voted for who or what's happening, if that makes any sense. But it is pretty bad because I did think it would be in the 20%. By 1 o'clock, like the latest figures I have here, by 1 o'clock. Like, say, for example, Monaghan is only hitting the 20% there at 1 o'clock. And Virginia is only a 14% of turnout. Like, I thought that would be in the high 20s going into the 30s, by this time, by 1 o'clock lunchtime. But it hasn't. None of them in Cavan, apart from Monaghan Town, is breaking the 20 mark. Actually, Towlai, Towlai, sorry. I retract that statement. It's Kelp McCross. Yeah, Fitzgerald's still on Twitter. Yeah, he's still on Twitter. Yeah. He doesn't post much, but he's on Twitter. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's a fair age. He's about, I think he must be 80, I think. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that, but he's definitely his age. Too bad he wasn't asking questions because, he drives people mad. And like, yeah, I used to watch Fitzgerald on TV3 when it was TV3 back in the days. Now it's Virgin Media. Like, he used to drive people mad. Like, he generally drove people up the bend. Like, he ate Stephen Donnelly out of it. Poor Stephen Donnelly. He absolutely got demolished by Fitzgerald that time. Like, Fitzgerald ate Stephen Donnelly a new one that time. If you ever see that clip of Stephen Donnelly just literally being grilled alive by Fitzgerald, like, I never seen a man get tore down so much. And he was just destroyed. So, if you could do that again to Stephen Donnelly, he wouldn't be there. But it's hard to know. But obviously, all the party leaders have voted, etc., etc. I just want to show you one thing that did release, just when I'm here, early on, just about 1 o'clock there when I was on my break. I just seen it pop up. I know it's probably not. It does have something to do with the election. So I said Darrell O'Brien. So the Minister for Housing didn't want to publish the homeless figures for October, um, because of obviously it's not that great. Um, this is not great. 14,000, nearly 15,000 people living in emergency accommodation, along with nearly 5,000 children. Not great. As I say, about Fianna Fáil, Fianna Gael, not that great. So that's why they didn't release it. It was only released there at, what time was this? Just 2 o'clock, sorry. I beg my pardon. I said 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So they were just released there. So they released them halfway through the day, basically, of the election. Now, I'll just say this. If you're going to vote Fianna Fáil, Fianna Gael, think long and hard about these numbers. Because this is under Fianna Gael and Fianna Fáil's watch, and the Green Party too, of course. But yeah, so yeah, it's fair to say the government is still not going great. Homelessness, etc., etc. I asked the question again. Yeah, like there was one man one time who was he was for the Labour Party. Like Fitz and Brown made him like he literally drove him mad that he had to walk out. Like I can't remember. He was over the unions. I remember he absolutely got like he was generally about to blow up because he was that annoyed. the man over the unions, and he just walked out. And not to mention the bog standard house, etc., etc. That thing, the bog standard house, the homeless. Well, yeah, as I say, it's pretty grim. 15,000, like that's the whole population of Cavan Town. Cavan Town has a population of 11,000, so basically a whole county town is living in emergency accommodation at the moment. Not to mention children, and that's probably not even counting it all up. So it's pretty bad figures. Just to keep that in mind when if you're going to vote later on, Fianna Gael, because they will say to you, it's okay, everything's getting better, etc. So if that's getting better, then I don't know what to tell you. But at the end of the day, it's up to you, the people of Ireland. It's democracy. You make your mind up. I'm just telling you what's the figures, etc., etc. It's up to you, the people of Ireland, to decide, and to think for yourself, I suppose. But yeah, what do you just fits about? Just so curious. I know we should be probably talking about the election instead of people's ages, etc., etc. But I'm just curious. I can't remember. But he is old now, and I hate this in a good way. I know. I mean, I don't mean in the. You know what I'm saying. He's a bit. He's like the TDs. He's a bit too old. He is 80 years old. Yeah, I was right before actually. He's about 80. 1944. That would be right because Michael D. Higgins was born in 1946. Was it 46? No, was it? He was born in 40. No, he was born around the same time. Michael Higgins 82, isn't he? Yeah, so about the 40s, 1944. So that was when the Second World War, during the Second World, just before the end of the Second World War, 1944. Yeah, 80 years ago. Yeah, that would be right. Higgins, yeah, I think so. I can't remember. He's around that matter. Like he's well on in 8 years, Michael D. Higgins. I can't remember but he's definitely old. He's 83. Yeah, 1941 he was born. Yeah, I knew it was sometime between the 40s. So Michael D. Higgins is older, yeah, than Fitz and Brown. Even though it has no relevance to really what's happening in the election, what age people are, I suppose. If you're going to vote like that, then so pretty much around the whole country, like looking at Cadell North at the moment. Like I'll just go through some of the other constituencies, etc., etc. Not a liberal lefty, but in fairness, he did drive people mad. Like, I don't know if I could put up with him if I was there either. To be totally honest, like he would generally annoy them, the way he goes on. What is this? Yeah, just walk with me because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of Jimmy Carter's 100. Like fun fact, Eamon De Valera was about nearly 100 when he retired as president here. Back in the 60s, wasn't it? Like he was very old, Eamon De Valera. He was very old when he retired as president back then. Oh, I don't know. Leo Fracco is probably up for that one, Lenny. Micah Martin too. You have to remember all these people because I don't think you can say which is the worst because I think they're all bad. But no, just taking for example here at the moment, just for 2 seconds, just so I explain. Like in Kildare North is a constituency. Only 19% turnout in Leixlip, a big town of Leixlip. Only about 20% of the people who are Welsh to vote turned out. Like that's really not good. In Maynooth, take for example, only 15%. Killincook, 16%. It's all under the 20. It's not really anything above 20. In Kildare South, take for example, it's only 17% of turnout, 16% in Newbridge, etc., etc. Like not that it should be in the 20s or the high 30s. Like it's still not great, and this is recently enough. This is speaking now at literally. I think this is literally 3 o'clock. Just give the figures coming out after 3 o'clock from Radio Television. So it's not that great to be honest. The turnout in Steamstown, County Westmeath, 20%. Shortly before 3, the turnout is 20. See, it's not that great. Logford Town is only 12 to 30%. It's not that great. Like Logford Town is a big town. And it's only polling that 12 to 13% of people turned up. So it's not that great. Unless there's like it has to be a huge amount of people turn out now within the next few hours. Or it's pretty much there not be many people at all. There's 3.7 million people registered to vote in this country at the moment, like the vote. It might not even be 60%, but I thought it would be 50 to 60. It could only be 40%, 50%. It could only be that. I don't think it would even be 60%. I thought it'd be high, like it'd be very high. I thought it'd be literally the highest ever. But at the moment, we're not seeing it. The only place I'm seeing it is in Tullamore, really. That's the only place it's really high. Oh yeah, that's a whole different. We're not going to get into that now, Lenny, tonight. That's a whole different kettle fish. We talk about when the election's all said and done here. We get around to talk about that. I meant to get around to talking about before the election, but I didn't get around to it. But we're not talking about it because that's a whole other kettle fish to open for tonight. But we get around to it at some point. It's just that there be that much figures and that much tough to talk about the next few days. Like I genuinely have to clone myself. I'm looking at the latest things, not from cavan. I don't have any up-to-date details from cavan at the moment. What's happening in terms of turnout, etc., etc. But it's not that great across the whole country. It isn't that great. Going by this, it's not too great because I thought it would be in the high 20s, 30s at this stage. It's not that great. So, just to say, in one part of Mayo, in Ballinyar and County Mayo, it was near the 30%, the 26.9% at half 2 in Ballinyar, I think. In South Tipperary, sorry, not Ballinyar, Mayo, it's South Tipperary, North Tipperary, sorry, excuse me. So that's only heading in 30% now. So that's the highest I've seen so far, like in this part of Tipperary. It's the only one that's the highest percent I see at the moment. Like there's none really in the 30s, basically. There should be some in the 30s by now because it is midday now. You have to remember that it's not morning time. It is midday, like like I understand a lot of people are getting off work, etc. Oftentimes, no bother. We get around to it. Don't worry, we will get around to it, Lenny. It's just that much to talk about today. And I probably would go on then if you got me started now and people coming in saying this is this election and all, and you're talking about over in England. They'd be like, "What is this?" You get what I'm saying. How people for poverty, I think they're not going to do well here. Like the person that's one of the people for poverty here is not even from Cavan, she's from Sligo. So I don't think people even know who she is. I haven't even seen her. I have never seen her in person or anything. And some people don't even know who she is. So they're not going to do well here. I think Richard Boyd Ballard will do well enough. Paul Murphy probably will. I don't know about anybody else candidate. I say they do well enough. They always kind of do well enough anyway. So we see. They do probably well enough in some areas. They might take some Sinn Féin votes. That's pretty much it. I suppose it's all that we don't know, to be told answer. On the ground, yeah. Like at the moment, what I'm hearing, it's pretty bad. Like it's pretty bad in Belturbet. Where was I? Sorry, I'm confused. Yeah, so this morning from this morning very early this morning from 7 to 10, They said only a few people turned out. That's what was said in the local media, etc., etc. That only a few people turned out. So what is a few? It must be very low. Uh, right now, yeah. So it probably is a good few because obviously people are getting off work now, etc., etc. Um, so it might be an uptick, but the small was atrocious. Going by the media, it was absolutely atrocious. Where was Belturbet? So yeah, by 11 o'clock this morning, it was 9.5% turnout, which is still not great for a big town. Like Belturbet doesn't have much shops and jobs going, but it's still a big like there's a big house in the States, and it's a big population. Belturbet. It still wasn't great for a big town like Belturbet, I suppose. Um, um, yeah, so we don't have any up to date figures from 11 o'clock. So I don't know what's happened at 1 o'clock. So it might have took takes since then, but this morning was pretty bad. Like it's not that great for a big town. Not for yeah. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe they might change their mind. Like there was a big issue in some part of the country. I think I heard it earlier on. In some part of the country, it was down in Cork or somewhere, that people didn't get voting cards, and there was a huge. I think even across the country too, there's a big confuckery over it. You know the way you don't get your voting card. I have my voting card, thankfully. You go in, you don't know what polling booth you're at. So and there was a big confusion about that. Many candidate people didn't have the polling card. They didn't know what booth they were at, and there was a big hullabaloo about that. So I don't know. But in Belturbet at the moment, unless the figures improve, it's at the moment going by the ones at 11 o'clock from 11, because that's the latest figures I have here from 11. There's none of the 1 o'clock. I have no updated news from Belturbet of that. But it might tick up, but it's pretty bad in that area. Like even Cavan town itself is not that great. The smaller parties not. Yes. Well, I don't know about Kingscourt. I have to find out about Kingscourt. I haven't heard anything about Kingscourt or up that direction. Well, we do know about Bayabo. There's figures here from Bayabo. 16% turnout from at 1 o'clock, like around up until 1 o'clock. In the Ballygym stuff, so Leicester Gordon's area, 15%. Obviously Leicester Gordon would do well in Ballygym stuff, without a doubt. Maybe Shane Pure Wiley takes some of his votes. We don't know. We see what happens. Because Shane Pure Wiley's from the same area, so it might be difficult enough. We see. I didn't think about that until recently, actually, but Shane Pure Wiley being from that area, like the two of them in the one area, basically, pretty much, like from the one town. There's nothing else at the moment. I look into more details here. Like I'm like basically I'd be here all evening doing this, looking at different things, different turnouts. But the only turnout, the highest turnout I've seen so far, is in Tipperary North, 27% turnout, which is the highest in the country at the moment. Yeah, I think that's what they're doing. But as I said, I voted for the parties, the people that I said I was going to vote for. I didn't go back in that. I voted for the people I said I was going to vote for, and I'm happy I did it. Because I stick by what I said, and that's the thing too. The only thing was, yeah, well, I'm happy enough with it. Like I'm happy enough given the way it was. I could have went down maybe and given a few more people something, but I didn't fill in any. The people I said I would give the votes, like 6 votes. That's all I give. Like there'll be people that probably going all the way down the 20, and I go mad doing it. Because literally I was only there about 2 minutes in the polling booth, like getting it stamped and all that. I literally had it filled up in no time because I knew where the candidates were on the sheet, so I could fill it up basically straight away. And I knew who I was going for. But like there'd be people there taking, like the people wouldn't make up their minds until the turn up, basically. If that makes any sense. But I knew already who was voting for what order to put them in, so I was able just to fling them on the page, be done with it. But I was the first one here. I was the first one in this county, yeah. White and Santa, yeah. Well, if she was there, we could have given her that vote. But I didn't spoil my vote anyway. Hopefully I did nothing wrong because I didn't take it. I only put the numbers, etc., etc. Like it is stamped and all that. I made sure it was stamped. Like it is stamped So there shouldn't be anything wrong with it unless the vote disappears. But it shouldn't be because literally was the first one in the box. Like quite literally the first one. The next person after me was 15 minutes after me. That's how long it took for somebody else to turn up. So basically, what I'm trying to say, nobody turns up at 7 o'clock basically to vote. But yeah, so pretty much we nearly said the first in the county. Pretty much, because literally I was brought in at 59 at 6:59, and I was given the paper at 7 o'clock on the dot because I was looking on my phone. It was 7 o'clock on the dot to give me the paper. And I had it filled out by 7:04. Like they had it stamped all the rest by 7:04, so it was all done by 7:04 and it was out. So literally that was good going. So that was all. Not many people could say they were there at that time. But it's supposed about sending a message too. Like it's you know, like a lot of people did talk about it. You might be surprised because a lot of people saying there's a young lad actually went down at 7 o'clock. Like I had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning just to be ready to go because I had to be up a bit more early. Usually get up at 6 because I had work anyway. So, but I had to get up a whole extra hour early to be ready to go. So not many people would do that just for an election. Go out of the way and then go to work, for a few hours, and nobody would really do that. No, nobody that I know would do that for an election for the politicians, I suppose. That's how it was, yeah. Well, don't leave it too late because that's when probably the horde will turn up. So don't leave it to the last hour because that would probably when everybody turns up. So if you wish, but don't leave it to the last moment, So look at I look up and see what's the story now in different parts. Like there's not much. Obviously, we only know about the turnout, exactly. But what I'm basically only talking about here is the turnout. Pretty much at the moment. We might only be here until 4 o'clock. I might just get myself up and eat, and then I can come back later on. Because I didn't get dinner or anything, so I was up and eat as I came back. So we might just stay there 4 o'clock, and then I come back. Like I'll be back, and I'll be off and on basically for the next day or two. Pretty quiet, yeah. But everybody probably just go washing the last minute. But see, the worst thing about it, Brian, I think you know yourself, it's Black Friday. I didn't think about that until the other day. Like it is Black Friday. Like as I say, you go into Cavan Town. I was in Cavan Town this morning. Like there's people going around looking for deals. They're going mad. They're running around Cavan Town. They don't know what they're doing. Like they see 5% off, they're going crazy. That's it. So that's probably because people. I think a lot of people are just worried about getting the deals. Sorry, I'm just double checking stuff here. So yeah, there's not much really to say at the moment because it's hard to know. As I say, in Banya, the area North Tipperary, it's the highest in the country at the moment. That's only in 27 as we speak, and that's at what time half two. So it's not that great. Even in the Dublin areas, it could be higher turnouts. Obviously, in the country, it would be that. There's only 109,000 people registered in Cavan Monaghan. It's not as big as other parts. So in the month, I hate it. Yeah, well, the winter time, people get sick a lot. It'll go in no time. Don't worry. Keep taking honey and stuff is good for the flu. Different things like that. Even just having a cup of tea, etc., etc. It's great. Yeah, something like that. It's around that 40, 50, around that. I think that's what it was for the European election here and the local town. Well, 40, 45, something like that. Something around that. Not 50 to say, but something near enough it. But it might not be. I think people are just kind of probably sick of it all, to be totally honest. Um, so I don't know. But it doesn't look good. Looking at the numbers, they could be entirely wrong in the media, etc., etc. But looking at the numbers, it's not the greatest. Um, so the last, just hold on, OT have just released stuff here. So we know that for the last general election in 2020, the overall turnout was 62%. Uh, so that's, I don't even think we're close to that. Um, and in 2016, it was 65%. And then in 2011, it was 69%. But obviously, 2011, people were really, really annoyed that time. 70%. So that's probably like, it won't get to 70%. In 2011, it was 70%. Um, yeah, so I don't think it's going to get to the 2020 figures. I don't think so. 62% in 2020. I don't think even we're close to that nationally. How much is it nationally? I think I've seen it earlier on. But that's what radio television has reported at the moment. So it's around 45% probably annually, give or take, for any election. No, I wasn't walking there, but I was just about to go to walk when you called me. I was just showing about the poster that's up from the European election. But there's lights, yeah, there's lights. It's just not that great lighting, if that makes any sense. Um, it's pretty dark. It was pretty dark anyway, and it was like it didn't get bright until nearly 10 o'clock this morning. And it was a horrid dark morning too because of the drizzly. It was threatening to rain all day. Like even this morning when I woke up, it was threatening to rain. And then it started pissing at 10 o'clock, and it hasn't stopped. And I was drenched. So literally, if you go downstairs now, you see my coat. It's just dripping constantly. Like it's just not going to stop dripping because there's that much water. Like, there's more water on my jacket than there is in the lake. To be totally honest. Um, yeah, it seems to be like as I say, you go back to 2011, take for example, but that's when the country was bust really. It's 70% turnout. Like that's insane. 69.9% of the electorate turned out to vote in 2011. Then in 2016, it went down to 65%. So it constantly went down, and then in 2020 it was 62%. So this time it might be less than 50%. You could be right, Brian. It could be 50 because it keeps going down. It's not going up. So I don't know. Maybe again that could all change in an hour's time. But what I'm looking at the moment, because I'm looking at all the figures here in every constituency, nearly enough every constituency, and the figures are not that great. Again, there's only one constituency breaking into the 20 mark, which is not that great because I thought reasonably every constituency nearly in the country would nearly be on the 20, the 30 mark. But there's only one going on to one area of the whole country going on to it. Like going on to the 27th voting turnout base, is what I'm trying to say. I just need to check another thing when I'm here. There was something earlier on that said how much like the turnout was, like nationally, on average. Give me a moment to look for now. So it's all in, so this is a website here. The turnout by midday. So this is just an estimate now. This is from 2 hours ago. It's around 15% as of midday. So 15% of the electorate have turned up as of midday. So this is 2 hours ago. So it could be more now. It probably is 25 or something that percent by now. 26 probably. But at midday, this poll suggests here, or this suggestion here, that it's at 15% midday just gone by at 12 o'clock. Then 15% of the electorate turnout, which is pretty bad, midday. Especially because it's open from 7. It's not like it was open at 9. So it could be that's just an estimate now, but it seems to be right. Like looking at all the figures here, putting 2 and 2 together, it does seem to be right. And there's that many figures that drive you silly. So I don't know what's the story. It could all change again. In an hour's time, we could be here and then we could be saying different. Um, but it doesn't seem like I thought there'd be a huge flurry of people wanting to vote, etc., etc. But it doesn't seem to be. To be totally honest with you, for what I'm seeing here, it doesn't seem to be. Um, I have no up to date figures anyway in Cavan at the moment. So there's nothing really, no figures really. There's no up to date figures from Cavan. No, what's the story in the turnout terms? See, it's hard enough to judge, I suppose, too. What's the turnout in different areas? But long story short, there's nothing really high in Cavan, like nothing really noticeable. Like nobody, there's not just a flurry of people. It seems like just people are sick and tired of the whole outfit. To be totally honest, that's what it seems to me like. Like people are just sick and tired of everything. Like I think everybody's sick of Sinn Féin, they're sick of Fianna Fáil, they're sick of Fine Gael. I think that's just pretty much what we're seeing at the moment. From what was at the moment, it could change now because a lot of people will be getting off work at 4 o'clock and 5:30, etc., etc. Like the majority of the civil service, the councils, like myself, we finish in the half day on a Friday, so a lot of them would be finished by now. In terms of road workers, people in offices, the local authority would be finished. The government departments too. A lot of government departments will be finished at 3:30, 4 o'clock. A lot of people do finish work at 5 o'clock or so. Yeah, 6 o'clock too. But a lot of people do finish early on the Friday. You have to remember. Like during the week, if I wouldn't mind if it was a Wednesday, because something like that, we wouldn't like. I'd be usually not here at the moment. If this was Wednesday or Thursday, I wouldn't be here at the moment. I'd be at work because I don't finish work until 4:30 on an only day. It's not a Friday, but we get a half day on a Friday. We get off at 3 o'clock. But I was let out. We were let out early because of Black Friday, etc., etc. What I mean by let out early, the overseer gives us 20 minutes to ourselves basically to get home or whatever we wanted to do. And because it was a bad, shitty day, and there's not really much more you could do really that day, because it's just pissy. So that's what happened really day. Because we usually wouldn't be here. Like generally at this stage on a Friday, like last Friday, we were just basically coming in the door from the bus. Thankfully, one of my people that works with me let me home basically in the car. So only for that I wouldn't be here. I'd be just basically coming in the door here if this was an only Friday. But during the week, I don't come back until nearly 4:30, 5 o'clock by the time I get home. There's nothing bad about it. Nothing happened. Like nobody died or anything like that. I had worse days. Don't worry, it's not that great. It's not that bad. It's just the weather was a bit pissy. Like it was nice enough this morning, but it was threatening to rain all day. But now it's just pissy, and there's nothing really else you can really do. And it's going to be like that all weekend, I think. Just drizzly, shitty weather. Yeah, hopefully they do, but we see what happens. But again, it's midday as we speak now, like 3 o'clock, really, going into 4 o'clock. And it doesn't seem like as I say, one constituency in the whole country is 27%, one of them. The majority of places around the whole country are in the 20%, which sounds high, but it should be nearly in the 30 or 40% at this stage. Because going back to the other figures, as we were just talking about there a few minutes ago, in 2020, take for example, nearly this time 2020 was nearly 30% in a lot of constituencies. So it's not even there. It's only one constituency in the whole country. It's there, basically near enough 30%, and that was in 2020. It was about 30% by midday. Not by midday, but by this time, by 2 o'clock, in 2020. But see, the thing about it in 2020 was Sinn Féin mainly. You've seen the big Sinn Féin vote in 2020. And that's what really got people out. I think people just were sick of it because Sinn Féin basically did nothing as opposition. They just kind of sat there and nearly agreed with the government and everything they did, to be totally honest. So that's why a lot of people probably just say, fuck Sinn Féin, I'm not going to be voting Sinn Féin. Because in 2020, we did see that, and I said it before, you could see it in the wind, that people were really fired up with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and wanted to vote Sinn Féin, even though they're not much of an alternative. But people were, I could see it, I even said it back in 2020, the people were very fired up and were going to vote Sinn Féin. You could see it by walking around. You don't see it now, and as I said the last few days, I didn't see that fire that was there in 2020. That seems to be gone a lot. Like nobody's jumping up and down before from Sinn Féin really. Like in 2020, I seen people jumping up and down saying Sinn Féin would change the country. Um, Not a whisper really now about that. Um, so I don't know. Take that as you will, but just a personal observation, I suppose, to that. But again, of course, it could be wrong. In the next hour or two, we could be saying a different story. Everybody turned up. The whole bus turned up. But yeah, we see. But just to add too, in the beginning of this year, like before the register of electorate closed, basically the last day you could register to vote, 400,000 people registered to the vote. Now I don't know where them people are, but I don't know. But 400,000 people registered to vote this year, and I don't know where they're gone. There's not really much up to date information. It seems to be just very quiet across the whole system. Especially, there's nothing about cavan now. In the last figures I have is 1:00. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it doesn't look like it's going to be that thing in 2020. Because by this time, as I say, in 2020, Sinn Féin probably had a huge amount of support. You probably remember, even though I never would vote Sinn Féin now. Never would. But I'm just raising the point in 2020, it was already 30% of the people that were registered to vote were out. And as we speak now, only one constituency has 37. So it's around 15 to 20% turnout. So the percentage is not there, basically what I'm trying to say by this time. It's just not there, if that makes any sense. So it's hard to know. But I think it's Black Friday. Do you not think it's Black Friday? Go fair enough. But do you not think it's Black Friday? Do you honestly think Black Friday has something to do with this? That people are just too busy shopping? Because I see it myself in the town today. People are too busy looking for deals, looking for 5% off, etc., etc. I think that's what's happening with what we're seeing at the moment across the country. People are going looking for deals, etc., etc., in the shops. And I think the government purposely did this too, because they knew people wouldn't be that fired up to go, because people are more worried about getting deals for a television or something like that. That makes any sense. I think they've done this on purpose so the new people wouldn't be that bothered. They'd be more worried about their deals, etc., etc. That's what I think they probably did. Because you see, if they don't have next Friday, I think they're getting a double payment and the children's allowance, etc., etc. So, and the late toy shows on too. So I don't know. 10 to 6, yeah. But it should be changing. Like a lot of people do get off at 5. Like I know even people that work in shops, they start at 9:00 to get off at 5. So I don't know. It's just, but just I'm comparing it to the figures before. That's where I'm coming from at the moment. Like looking at 2020, as I say, by 2:00 in 2020 in the election day, there was a 30% turnout. At the moment, it's barely, probably 20% nationally, as we say, 15%. I think it was 15%. So in 2020, a few years ago, it was 30%. Now it's only 15%. So there's a huge difference between that. So it just goes to show people not that energetic to vote, if that makes any sense. Like in 2020, it was there. I'm sure people remember Sinn Féin, the big wave of Sinn Féin. Like the energy was there, basically, what I'm trying to say. The energy is not there today. That's the point I'm really making about the whole lot of it. When you compare it to the figures then, and then you compare it to 2016 too. I don't have the exact figures for 2016, but take, for example, the vote went down to 65% of the electorate turned up in 2016. Only 62 turned up in 2020. But still, people voted a lot. But you can see the change. When I'm talking about it, you can see the change. But yeah, I don't know. Because there's no clear really way. I don't really see how this is going to work out, to be totally honest. But the one thing that's going to probably still work. Yeah. Well, we'll just soon be finishing, hopefully, on a Friday. Because usually people get a half day on a Friday. Like I get a half day on a Friday, which is good. I suppose it's good to have a half day, especially after the end of the week. You want to relax a bit, especially because I'm working the last day. Usually we're on a Friday, you get a half day, as I said. But the other days you work an 8-hour shift, and you're kind of tired. By the end of the week, you get to Friday, you're tired. Especially getting up early, you're just wet at the end of the week. So it's handy enough to get a few hours, off, even though it's not much in the difference. But I suppose it is in the way you'd be finished at 4:30. But I'm finished today at 3:00. We will let off a bit early again today. But on a Friday, it's 3 o'clock. We'll let off. That's what they're doing. Yeah, pretty much, the Sinn Féin. So that's what they're probably going to suffer, and particularly with the immigration too. Sinn Féin's going to suffer for that in a lot of areas. Check the choice. I don't even think Santa Claus himself could probably save this situation. But I say we stay here for another minute or two and see what's the like. I'll probably come back. So there is news coming from the local news channels in Cavan at the moment, just as we speak there. So the turnout, just going by the Anglo South at the moment, the local news channel in Cavan and Monaghan. The photo uptick has increased across Cavan and Monaghan. So that's good. This increased as the day progressed into the 25. So we're at the 25% of turnout by half two, basically. So pretty much an hour ago. Polling staff says it's busier compared to recent elections. So it's starting to get busier. So it's starting to get a bit more busy around this constituency at the moment. Going by this from the Anglo South. In Cavan Town, like St. Clair's College, turnout was roughly around 9.2. Yeah, that's the old figures. So we don't have up-to-date figures from Cavan Town yet at St. Clair's College. We don't have any up-to-date figures there. So it's pretty much the same figures we had from 11 o'clock in Cavan Town. So we don't know what's the story in the town. St. Mary's Boys National School in Belturbet was 9.5 mid-morning. So that's probably 12 o'clock. So that'd probably roughly right what I have here. Yeah, it was about 10%, give or take, yeah. By 1 o'clock, it had increased. So it's increasing as we speak. By half one, it had increased a bit across the county. The turnout in Shercock was 21%. So it's 21% in Shercock, which Shercock is not a big place. So everybody in Shercock must be up in arms, but it's open. Because when you see that in small towns, like Shercock isn't that a big alpha town, you know. So when you see that in small towns, you know the people really fire up about something. Yeah, we will be back at 10, but I'll probably be back in the meantime at some point at 6 or so to talk. But we chat here because, again, we just have these figures in front of me about this constituency, I suppose, here. At the Boys National School in Castleblaney in County Monaghan, turnout was 7.9 by mid-morning. As I say, Clonus is doing very well. 16% turnout. I'm surprised that Clonus is a big turnout like that. In Monaghan Town, it's very good. It's 23.6% at 3 o'clock. Just gone by. At 3 o'clock, it's with 26.3%. So Monaghan Town is doing very well in terms of people getting out in Monaghan. So there's a huge amount of people voting in Monaghan. So we see what's the story there, I suppose. But that's really all at the moment that's coming out from the local news channels. So pretty much what that means with the Monaghan is... So this is at 3 o'clock, just gone by at 3. So I have the figures from Monaghan from 1 o'clock. So this is 2 hours later. Just to compare. Where was it? Monaghan Town. Yeah, so at 1 o'clock today it was 20%. It's gone up by 6 points, basically. It's gone up by 6%, basically, in Monaghan in the last 2 hours. Which I suppose you could argue is good enough. 6% in 2 hours. It's not that bad. It's better than other parts of Cavan. But yeah, we were live throughout the night, pretty much. I could probably be back at 5:30 or so. We see how we go. If I find some more information, we'll probably wait maybe a while to see more information. The only reason why we're live is to keep you up to date with what happened this morning, etc., when I was away. But pretty much we don't know who got elected. Obviously, we know that Cam Kohler has been elected. That's the only person we know that's elected to Dáil Éireann as we speak. So 1 out of the 73 has been elected to Dáil Éireann because the Cam Kohler gets automatically re-elected to Dáil Éireann. He doesn't need to put his name forward to be elected. So that's all the seats is filled at the moment. 1 out of the 173. There's not 163 was it before? There's 173 now. 160. Am I right? There was 160 seats, wasn't it, in Dáil Éireann before? It's 173 now. I think 74 or something like that, including Dáil Éireann. Yeah, but he did get. I think he did automatically get elected. Like he still be the Cam Cola because they still haven't elected the Cam Cola. See, it'd be they have to do it in the Dáil. They can't just decide now who's going to be the Cam. They have to vote on it and who they're going to make Cam Cola. So he still be there basically when the Dáil returns because they will have to vote on who's going to be the new Cam Cola. And take for example, then when who's going to be the new Taoiseach, they need to vote to say they have confidence in the Taoiseach, for the new government, etc., etc. They accept the nomination of Taoiseach. So that whole shenanigans have to go on when the government goes back. So basically, the Cam Cola, I know he's not going to seek re-election, but he still have to be there for a while until that can happen. Basically, the vote that who decides who's going to be the Cam Cola, which will probably be that Connolly woman from Galway, most likely. She's probably going to be elected permanent Cam Cola. She's less Cam Cola at the moment. So that's what I think is going to happen. But obviously, he'll still be there at the moment, so he still gets automatically elected. At the moment, going by what I have in front of me here, that they say he's automatically elected. Catherine Connolly, yeah, that's who it is. So she'll probably be the Cam Cola. They have to vote, and again, the members of Dáil Éireann have to vote on it to say who they want as Cam Cola. But I presume maybe that's who they would go for. They might go for somebody else. I don't know. But Sean, what's he got? The Cam Cola that's there at the moment. He's going to be. He was already elected because again, nobody has voted in the Dáil to say that what a new Cam. He's going to give up his position as Cam Cola, but not at the moment because they have to do that in the Dáil, and obviously the Dáil is not on, so they can't vote when he's not. But there's nobody elected to vote him in yet, and that makes any sense. It's a lot of technical bollocks. It's the same when it's all said and done. Whoever's the Taoiseach, either be Marilyn McDonald, whoever, Simon House, whoever it be. Like the only TD in the Dáil will have to decide: do they support it, do they go against it? Take an example. It's pretty much the same when Leo Frankel left the role of Taoiseach. Simon House had to be voted in the Dáil, basically for everybody to say, do they agree with Simon House being elected as Taoiseach? And obviously the government had the numbers, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and the Green Party had the numbers. So basically nothing really could stop Simon House becoming Taoiseach because there was nobody to start. They didn't have the numbers, the opposition party. So that's what's going to happen. So it's the same with if a government goes in. They need a majority of 88, isn't it? The government need a majority of 88. So Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael go in, and then a small load of parties, etc., etc. Deportation's my question. Yeah, that's my question too. Because if people before profit gets in, take for example, for argument's sake, they go in with Sinn Féin. Which Sinn Féin have basically said they'll go in with people before profit and the Social Democrats. So if people before profit goes in, they don't want any deportations at all. And that's what they said in the manifesto. People before profit doesn't want any deportations. So at least they've been honest with people that they don't want anything. The other parties, they kind of feel like lukewarm, saying, they're not giving you the direct answer. So, if people before Papa gets in with Sinn Féin, and there'll be no deportation whatsoever. So we have to wait and see what happens, I suppose. And if Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael get in, it'll be the same crack at self-deportations. So, I suppose pick your poison, I suppose. Let's put it that way. Moving to America. I don't know. It's hard to know what's going to happen. I wish I could tell you here now what's going to happen. Like in 2020, I could honestly have told you Sinn Féin were going to do well. I didn't think they were probably going to get into government. I knew they were going to do well, but because you could see the change really in the air and you could feel it too. In this election, you don't know. Nobody really knows. I don't think anybody knows who's going to be in government. There's no consensus really, and that's the thing. There's no consensus on who's the main party, who's what the majority of people are taking. Just no, that isn't there. That makes sense. It was there in 2020 for Sinn Féin, but it's there for none of the parties in this election. That's what I'm trying to say. So it really generally, and I might be honest, if I could see which way it was going, I would say, but it could go really anyway. Like we all know Sinn Féin's probably damaged a bit from the immigration, but not standing up to people, etc. Standing up for people in working class communities. And Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil fucked themselves over multiple times at this stage. It's hard to know how bad they fucked themselves over. Let's put it that way. We already know they're fucked over a bit, but we don't know how bad. How bad is it going to eat into the electorate? That's what we need to ask. So it's difficult to know. But the one thing's for sure, anyway, the Green Party are going to get set back into the Stone Age, to where they belong in the Stone Age with the Flintstones, etc., etc. So that's what's going to happen. I think everybody knows going to agree with that. The Green Party are going to do terrible because people are really gunning for the Green Party. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing really that we can really say with certainty. Because nearly every poll has suggested that the Green Party will lose the majority, like lose all their TDs about one. So I don't know. Majority polls do suggest, because I've seen that before the election, that the Green Party, will most likely lose a lot of the support, like only get one seat. But we don't know. Again, we just simply don't know. But independents will do well. The huge suggestion independents will do well. Like the only Joe will do very well. But I suppose the question is how well. I suppose at the moment that's another thing we don't know. It just all depends. Again, if nobody turns up to vote, if there's not that big many people voting, you don't have that many votes. The more votes, the merrier. If that makes sense. That's. But it's hard to tell at the moment. Generally, it's hard to tell. I love to be able to sit here and tell you, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. But, to be totally honest, I don't know. In 2020, I could have said to Sinn Féin's going to do well because it was the truth. I could see it in people. I could see it around that people were wanting to vote Sinn Féin. Even though I didn't vote, I wouldn't vote Sinn Féin. But long story short, I could see it in people. I could see it in a lot of people that they want to vote Sinn Féin. You could see it. You can feel it in the air too. In 2020, nowadays it's not there. Basically, what I'm trying to say. So Willie could go anyway because there's no hype for any party really. At the moment, like I don't know. I think people are just sick and tired of the whole lot of it. To be totally honest, I think that's just the main thing. I think that's really the main thing to take from this election. That people are sick and tired of the whole lot of it. To be totally honest, with you, that's what I'm seeing now in the numbers. Take for example, it does seem like people are just either that or they're still at work, etc. But comparing it to other years, comparing it to 2020, as I say, it's not that great. Comparing to 2020, this time in 2020, as I said, a lot of people were out already. And again, I presume because of Black Friday, maybe, I don't know. We could argue for weeks about what caused this and etc. But we don't know. But I presume just people are sick and tired of it all. And I wouldn't, to be totally honest, I wouldn't blame a lot of them. To be honest, I wouldn't blame them because I would be sick and tired of it all too. Like I am sick and tired of listening to Fianna Fáil and the Green Party and the Labour Party. I'm sick and tired of listening to a whole lot of them. I'm long sick and tired of listening to them. But anyway, I think we'll leave it there for the moment because there's no new information at the moment. Let me just double check. Yeah, but there's no new information at the moment. So how about this? We'll be back in maybe an hour's time if I hear anything. If we have any more up-to-date figures, so 5 o'clock, take for example. Does that sound okay with people? Because at the moment we don't really know much more. We only have what we have at the moment. And by 5 o'clock, as you say, a lot of people be off work, etc., etc. But I just basically the only reason why I went live now because I had to get through the stuff from this morning because obviously I wasn't here this morning. I was only basically catching up now as we speak when I'm here at the moment because I was at work, etc., etc. So is that okay? And I have to get something to eat, and then we can paddle on for a long time tonight. So we'll probably be back at 5. And obviously we'll be live later on, probably at 10 o'clock when the poll does come out, even though it will just be a poll. But we can still go through it and work out what's what and put pieces together and try and work out, what way the country is going. Even though we won't know roughly. We won't know until the fat lady sings, basically, in terms of when the votes are counted. But yeah, we'll be back later on, basically, what I'm trying to say. But what I say to people at the moment is anybody who hasn't voted, if you know your friends or family, or if you live with your neighbour, take for example, well, not your neighbour, but a friend of yours that doesn't want to vote, or maybe it's just hesitant to vote for anybody, I would encourage them to go out and vote. It's important to use your voice, and there's no point really complaining, in a year's time, this government is terrible. You have the opportunity now to do something. And I would take that opportunity because, we don't know whether there will ever be another opportunity to stop it. Again, unfortunately. That's just the straight up truth, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll talk to you later. We'll be back at 5 or so. Hopefully we have a bit more information on what's happening. Hopefully things take up. But yeah, I'll talk to you then. Thank you.